Your swim course for Ironman Arizona takes place in Tempe Town Lake. This is basically a one loop course where the swim start is more or less a half mile or so left of transition. So you have a chance to walk to transition, and they enter the water in groups every so many seconds. It's not a mass start, and you need to be prepared for what could be a possibly chilly swim course. Water will be somewhat dark. You'll go under some bridges, but it's pretty straightforward. And then after the finish, you have to do a jog to transition. Now, I've done this course twice. Wendy has experience at Ironman Arizona. What's your approach to this lake swim, even though it's a man-made lake there in downtown Phoenix?
So I would describe this, and we have in a podcast, that it's a fair swim, meaning there's no upstream, there's no downstream, there's no ocean current like in the Gulf of Mexico for Ironman Florida. It's generally, in my experience, fairly calm. If it's a windy day, there could be a slight, chop hitting your face. And the years I've done it, it's been a mass swim start. So there's definitely more turbulence that I've experienced than what it's like now in that rolling start. It is dark. The shore is fairly close. So I think it's a course that you can sight fairly well with the shore on your right and the buoys to your left. And so in my mind, you feel safe. I think someone who's an inexperienced swimmer should feel safe because they're not in some huge, large body of water. And so definitely cold. Every year I've done it, it's been in the low 60s, and water acclimation is important. And we've shared some course content within the course of how to acclimate to cold water if possible. And they have an opportunity for you to get in the water like the day before. I highly recommend it. If not, then hopefully within your training plan, it is a fall season race. So hopefully you've had time over the summer to get in some cold water, open water swims.
And that's one downside. You should take advantage if you're not prepared or not familiar with the temperature and what it's like to swim in that lake. Is you don't get to do a warm-up swim race morning just because of how it's structured. Everyone's walking up to along the shoreline, and they just get in and go. And with this swim start, it's a little bit of a 100-yard swim out to the first buoy, and then you go straight, and then you take a hard right, and then it's a long a mile and a half down the river to the first buoy. So mentally preparing yourself for the swim of the long slog of one long continuous straight line under some bridges. You'll end up going under 3 bridges before you make your first turn. And then once you make that turn, you come back, and then you do a little bit of a U-turn before you come back into shore to finish line. So buoys will be on your right the entire time until the very end. You make a left turn at the buoys to come into the finish, and then you have a nice little jog to the transition after your 2.4 miles of swimming. And from my experience, even in 2022, there were a lot of people complaining of hypothermia symptoms because the temperature was in the low 60s. Someone said 59 at one point. So you just being mentally prepared for breathing, trying to calm your heart down in that first, so many hundreds of yards, so your body can be acclimated, because that face, once it splashes into 60-degree water, it can be hard to catch your breath. And you will be swimming into the sun on the initial, mile and a half or 2 miles of a mile and a half of swimming, because of the sun rising on the east, and you are going to be swimming east after that first couple hundred yards.
Yeah, that's a good point. The sun can be an issue.
So
sight
tinted
frequently. Tinted goggles and sight frequently. Again, within the course, we share plenty of videos that I talk about sighting. And I just can't stress enough how important it is to sight frequently, especially if you're in a area where the sun's going to be limiting your sighting the buoys in the course.